That was about 3 weeks ago. I put a new back tire on this, and I actually had a hard time finding it because this is back from the days when they used an 18 on the back and 19 on the front. You know, it was pretty standard. But now, you know, everything has gotten to be odd sizes. You know, they run a lot of 16s, which I have never appreciated. You know, it's the same on cars. You know, that it was funny. Years ago, it used to be nearly impossible to get a 16-inch tire. Well, now all the cars run 16-inch tires, and you can't find those odd like 14-inch that used to be common. You know, they just switch, and there's really no logic behind it. It's kind of more of a style and a fad thing. You know, because in all honesty, a bigger tire, a bigger narrow tire works better in like mud and snow than what those short, squat, fat ones do. They only work good on dry pavement, otherwise they're useless for you. So I always prefer to have these 18s on the back, but there's a tendency among the tire manufacturers, you know, they like to say they're developing their tires from racing. You know, it's one of the reasons that they sponsor a lot of racing. But when they do that, they end up with a tire like this. And I had these on a few years ago, and I got disgusted with them. They're a Dunlop again, but they're one of the developed through racing, you know, and they're the high speed rated and stuff. But as an all-around tire, they really don't work worth a crap. You know, you try to run these in any kind of a little bit of mud, gravel, anything like that, they're really hopeless. They work really well only on dry pavement. You know, so I didn't care for them. And then they tend to also use a really soft rubber compound, again developed from racing, which tends to wear out fast. You know, there has to be a compromise in there. And that's why I'm running these, the Dunlop Gold Seal tire, that K70, I think it was called. It's been around, yeah, K70, from the days of the old Nortons and Matchless, and you know, a lot of the British bikes came with this tire. Good all-purpose tire. Because you kind of need something that is a little all-purpose. For my uses, I need that. You know, I don't need this specialized tire. Specialization can kind of get you in a bind sometime, where they only work good in one situation. But these I like, but like I say, hard to find. Because it's so much easier for them to go with those, you know, it's sexier, I guess, for these racing inspired ones. But these are the good old universal type tire. But ended up shipping one clean out of California. And even then, when it came, it had a Drag Specialties sticker on it. Well, that Drag Specialties company has been out of business for a long time, so these were ones that company must have bought up when Drag Specialties went out of business. You know, so it could be hard to find them in the future. And I've used these quite a few. I've worn out 3 or 4 of these already over the years. You know, I made that one little detour into these, and like I say, that was a mistake. They actually cost more and don't work near as well. So I'm back to these. But like I say, I put this one on not long ago, and when I did, I noticed I was getting to have some wear on my sprockets and stuff. So I decided I'd go ahead and put new chain and new sprockets on, which for these isn't bad. It's like 80 bucks, you can get everything you need. But for these big singles, it's kind of important. You know, you can't let your chain get worn or the chain run loose, because with that big single, it isn't a smooth delivery of power. It hammers on it. So if your chain is loose at all, it transmits all that into, like your swing arm bearings and stuff, take a beating. And plus they get a little noisier, but you can feel it shaking on the bike. So I'll replace the whole works. But, you know, it's pretty economical to do it, really, and it'll be good for a long time. Which is different from, there's some bikes that, you know, if you have to replace that stuff on them, you're talking a lot of money. But, like I say, these are pretty straightforward. It would have been nice to have them on hand. And I thought I had a chain and I had the front sprocket, but I didn't have the rear one. And plus my front sprocket, you know, you can buy different gear ratios, different sprockets. And it wasn't the same. And for this one, I run it at the original gearing. Works pretty good. Other bikes I run at different gear ratios. But that's a project for today. Just would have been nice, you know, to do it when I had the tire off before, but it's not a big deal. You know, just you pull that axle out and the whole thing flies apart. But then I got to take these out, and it's going to be a little grubby because I tend to keep a lot of lube on my chain, and I don't think I've ever pressure washed this. But there's a reason for that too. Pressure washing, you know, if you get real fanatic about it, it tends to get water in your seals and knocks your seals and your bearings out.